Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Ashley Hicks.
Oh.
Good morning.
Kyle Schrum.
Hey.
Joe Courtney.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Big pause there. Like, I was kind of wondering, like, who is he going to call on? Like, who's his favorite?
We all know who my favorite is. Yep.
Doesn't need to be spoken.
We don't even say it out loud. Funny story about that. One of my kids, I won't say who, actually was like, they asked us about favorites or something like that. And I was like, yeah, we don't have a favorite. Oh, okay. It was William. It was my oldest. I'll tell you. And he was like, but we know, right? We know who it is. And I was like, no, we don't have any favorites. He's like, it's me. Come on. You know, it's me. So he actually thinks and believes that he's the favorite, even though I've done nothing. I think I've done nothing to establish that fact, but
as the favorite child in my family, I can tell you that there's a lot of nonverbal things. You don't have to verbally commit to that. Like, you pick up on it when you're the favorite. You just kind of know.
You just know.
Eleanor's the easy out for to be your favorite.
Yeah, well, she actually is my favorite. So,
wow.
Ooh,
here it is.
No, I'm kidding. They're all equal. Anyway, I'm going to get into some updates. And I want to talk about sponsorship for the podcast, because we are not actually sponsored by anyone. But Joe brought this to my attention, and I realized how many people, let's just say on an annual basis, we turn down from like being able to basically work with us in any capacity. Is quite a bit. Yeah, Ashley, you get it too. Like, you get the emails and stuff. It's just, and some of these are fairly large names, like supplement companies you're probably dumping into your cup right now, and products you're already using. We say no to. And it's just because we want to maintain the purity of the podcast. We want to be able to talk about what we want to talk about, not have to take a 30-second commercial break in the middle of me talking about my favorite kid. You know what I mean? Like, we just want to do whatever the hell we want to do, bring you the science, bring you the topics, and really remain as unbiased as possible, other than the fact that concurrent training is the best type of training on the planet. That's it. So I just wanted to let everybody know we don't not sponsor the podcast because no one wants to sponsor the podcast. That a lot of people are just in that situation when they start a podcast. I was in that situation back in the day of Better Humanology. I probably would have taken a sponsor when that podcast first started, but no one wanted to sponsor me. I was just getting started. But anyway, we actually refuse quite a bit these days. And it's because of you, the people listening to this, the community, the people who are following the programming. You guys actually are the sponsors of the podcast. You're what keep us going. So I really appreciate everybody who is signed up for the membership and giving us the ability to do what we do. And if you are not one of those people, definitely go to garagegymathlete.com. Sign up for the free trial, see if you like our training, but that's how you sponsor the podcast. We don't do like a donation model or anything like that. We're going to give you an amazing service in exchange for that, but that is what we do, and that's how this podcast runs and operates. So sign up, and if you are a member, I really do appreciate it. And just to kind of something we did recently to highlight our members, if you go to garagegymathlete.com and there's a new page, you can check it out in the menu. It's a testimonials page. We have put basically all of our athlete interviews on there with the results they've seen. I think there's like 70 or somewhere close to that right now. And we're going to definitely do more. And I just go check it out. Your name, if you're listening to the podcast, you're probably there if you've been interviewed. And then if you want to see what kind of results we produce for people, go check that out. If you're wondering, because I think some people get intimidated by our training when they really shouldn't. And so I think showing you other people and interviewing our athletes like we do shows you that you don't have to be, this crazy athlete. I think the term athlete really throws people off sometimes. Everyone has their own personal definition of what that means. And we just think it means that you're good at physical activity and you want to get better. That's basically it. So definitely some things to check out. Now, as far as what's going on in this podcast episode, we are talking about self-compassion, social rank, and psychological distress in athletes of varying competitive levels, which was a study done in 2020. Not really a study, is more of like a survey. So we're going to talk about that and some of the findings of kind of along the lines things we've talked about, like your self-talk and how that affects you. And, maybe hardcore athletes aren't as hardcore in their brain as you think. I think it's really going to be really cool to go over this with the team. Then the topic this week is, how do you motivate others? It's a big question we get all the time. It's something I've spent a lot of time thinking about myself. So we might actually spend more time there than we will the survey. And then we'll talk about Grog Bowl. But before we do any of that, probably the most important part of the show, getting weekly updates from every team member. So whoever wants to go first, just do it.
Kyle, you hinted at something earlier.
Yeah, I want to
What?
hear about this.
Oh, I get to go first. Okay.
You said you were holding back something, so we're on you.
Yeah. Well, I didn't spoil my update even for you guys this time. So I've gotten a lot of flack recently because people found out that Hannah doesn't have her own barbell. Okay. And this is not the first time I've talked about it on the podcast, all the flack that I get from people for not getting Hannah her own barbell. So big update. Hannah has her own barbell now.
Woohoo.
So yesterday.
Have you posted a picture on Instagram?
I did not post a picture on Instagram.
No,
I didn't want to
didn't
spoil
happen.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll post it. I'll post it later. Okay. It's here. I promise. But I did not buy Hannah a barbell.
I was just about to ask who you stole it from.
I didn't buy it. Actually, really cool story. One of our GGA members, who shall remain nameless, I'm going to keep the anonymity there, actually just sent us one.
Oh my gosh, that's
This
amazing.
person
amazing.
had an extra one in their gym that they weren't using. And so they reached out to me and said, "Hey, what's your address?" Let me send you this thing. I was like, "How much do you want for it?" They said, "Nothing." And that's my final
Wow.
offer. And we just want to bless you guys and be a blessing to you. And so
That's
just give
so
me your
great.
address and I'm going to ship you a barbell. So that's what they did. And it came in yesterday and Hannah was super excited about it. And she did her workout with it this morning and freaking loved it. So
Is it a 35-pound?
yeah.
That's
Yep.
so great.
And
It
that's
is.
the community. That's awesome.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the biggest thing is like, it's just a huge testament to how awesome our community is. And so Hannah has a new barbell now and everything is great. She's going to enjoy barbell work a lot more now since she has her own. I'm not allowed to use it. Not really even allowed to touch it.
I mean, why would you?
Kind of what she said. But that's what I said to her. I was like, I don't know what I would ever use it for. She
It
said,
makes
well,
you feel like a monster.
yeah, it does.
So
Yeah,
just
does.
saying.
But anyway, it's really cool. So Hannah has a barbell now. It's a big update.
Hey,
Did you
Nameless,
try
are
and take
awesome.
credit for it?
Did I try to take credit? No, I didn't. I
Mm.
gave credit where credit was due. I didn't tell her that it was coming because they reached out to me on Sunday and said, "Hey, look for a package on Thursday." So like all day yesterday, I was like, "Where is that thing?" I was just sitting there waiting for it. And
How much I love that was Joe's question too. That was
Yeah.
just.
did I try to take credit? No.
I ask questions that other people are thinking, okay?
Yeah.
I didn't even think
No.
that.
No,
Oh, it's
I
awesome.
I didn't pretend with her that I bought her a barbell. I told her exactly where it came from. So yeah. But anyway, really excited. That's a cool thing. And shout out to that person
Yeah, Nameless.
who
you
again.
rock.
Did they
shall remain
request to be nameless? Or
No, I don't think that's the reason they did it. I don't think they want to. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I didn't really ask them. So
maybe ask them. Maybe we can give them a shout out next podcast. I think.
right, I'll do that.
I mean, I know that's not why they did it, but I mean, I would love to highlight that person. Just
Heck yeah.
be like, that's great. That's really cool.
Yep. All right. I'll ask him. We'll see. All right. Somebody top that.
Well, no one can.
No one can top that.
Well,
So
Guess we're going to
let
the
me
study.
y'all let me go first. So
let me just dive into something here. I've been running this company for 10 years now. This officially, like with the government, this will be the 10th year in business. And the coolest thing I've gotten from a member. Now I'm not fishing for gifts here. Like that's not how I'm doing it. So I'm just saying this is actually the cool. I think it's really awesome. This guy, he wanted one man, one barbell, did not have the money for one man, one barbell, and asked if we could do a trade. And he was an artist, and he drew like really, I don't know what the word for it is, like scary type art. I don't know. I know there's a different word for that.
Gothic?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more gothic. I'll show it to you guys. You may have seen it if you've ever looked at our print files for like t-shirts and stuff. It's in there. But he made this EO3 artwork in exchange for one man, one barbell, which was awesome. That was probably the coolest thing I've received as a gift from, and I still traded for it, So I think that's the coolest thing I've gotten. So barbell tops even my coolest story from getting something from a member of the community.
Yeah, I got a shirt from Trampus when I had my cancer scare, and he was just like, "You need some joy. Here you go." And he gave me a squat shirt because, duh, everybody knows I love to squat.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we all still have updates though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Joe, you got anything?
So mine is actually might dive into a little bit of a side conversation if that's okay. And that is, so I've been, as we talked about before, I've been counting macros, or we both have been counting macros, Liz and I. I was in a deficit, and now I am actually going back into maintenance. So I'm increasing my calories by 350. So I know what I am doing and what at least I think I should be doing, but I'm also curious as to what you guys have done or advised, because I'm sure other people have been in the same boat to talk about. And that is, so normally protein is like a fixed macro, because sometimes it's somewhat of a fix to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But when increasing calories, if you just stick by a percentage, then everything increases. So my question would be, would protein be the fixed same grams, and then your increased calories just go into protein and fat, or carbs and fat?
That's typically what I do. Yes. So I normally I fix protein because, and a lot of people disagree with this, and that's fine. I do think that there's actual issues with consuming too much protein. A lot of people in the fitness industry they're not concerned with it at all, on what it can do to your kidneys and everything else. But I'm just not in that camp. I don't think that the studies that we have or that you could look at are long enough. And a lot of people in the fitness world are primarily supplementing all of their protein. So the fact that it's even in powder form can hurt your kidney. So anyway, I don't like to go into the massive amounts. So I always stick like kind of around max 1 gram per pound of body weight is about my comfort level, maybe a little bit more, but never much more than that. And that's just kind of like a rule of thumb. Like I said, you could consume more, and a lot of people in the fitness industry do. I just don't really go past that. So it is kind of a fixed macro for me. And so then if I'm increasing calories from there, it would all go to carbs and fat. And most likely in that scenario, it would be fat.
Cool. Yeah, that's basically what I did. I dialed the percentage down a little bit for protein and added to the other two. So I'm getting back into maintenance, which I'm kind of excited about, especially because of some of the stuff we got going on for strength this next wave. I think I need to be a little bit better recovered, just to, fun stuff. And that's all I got.
Awesome.
Sweet. For me, just I finally have another functional medicine doctor appointment. The cool thing is my doctor kind of broke off with the functional medicine practice that was down in Destin. And so she is creating her own here in Niceville. So now I can, just drive 7 minutes down the road instead of driving 30 minutes down to Destin. But she's really awesome. If you are a local, let me know and I'll give you her info. Anyways, hopefully there's a thyroid boost with my appointment. That's what we're hoping for. But my ENT, just ear, nose, throat doctor, has to be talking to her. So we'll see how that goes and see if that affects anything. And then just a quick BCT update. I'm loving it. Like, granted, I know I'm not here for I wasn't there for the very, very beginning, but there's a lot more variety than what I thought there was going to be. And intervals are my jam. And I forgot how much I love intervals. I don't know if it's the soccer player in me. I just anyways, I have thoroughly enjoyed BCT. And so doing well and not broken yet. So anyways, I'm good.
And squats go back to 3 times a week next week.
Yes, I'm okay with
that. We start off
so
easy,
excited.
I'm the only one on a BCT here.
You're on BCT light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually, that was my update too. I want to talk about BCT because I wanted to do 1 video per month. And I think we kind of skipped December. I'll probably do a video this month. Just because just BCT's been weird the last, a lot of people, I reached out, some people were having hamstring issues, low back issues. And I'm trying to get, as much as I'm making the programming for me, I'm trying to keep everyone. And I mean, there's only about 18 to 20 of us. I don't want anybody to get an actual injury that, that sets them aside. So I've adjusted the programming quite a bit. And that's why I haven't really made the videos, because I don't really know where I'm at right now with, we haven't touched anywhere close to a max. And almost, I'd say I've moved to 85 to 90% of my running is on the true form right now. And which is also an inaccurate estimate of what my times are. So I just don't even know where I'm at. In all honesty, we kind of went down to, Ashley said, she came in and it's been way more variety. We've been squatting once a week. It hasn't even been that heavy compared to what we were doing. So that is where we're at with BCT. I will probably make a video this month, beginning of February, I think, realistically, and we'll be able to get some tests and assessments, see where people are at, see where I'm at, and give some updates on YouTube if you guys are looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been a little bit different recently. And my personal update is just, I have no idea where I'm at on my back squat or my mile time.
Have you done track Saturdays still or Sundays or what?
No, I've even been doing the track stuff on the true form. And that's mainly due to weather. I normally take my kids to the track with me and they play while I'm running, or my boys. Eleanor doesn't normally go, but it's been super rainy or cold, too cold for them to go play football for an hour. It's 32 degrees or something. I can handle it, but I'm not going to subject them to do it. Right. So I've just been doing everything on the true form. So that's why I feel like I have a bad gauge of where I'm at, and it makes me feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So it's stressing me out a little bit. I need to get on the road and on the track a little bit more, so I know where my splits are at. It gives you a ton of confidence when you're on the track and you're doing 400s and 800s, and because you're just okay, these are my splits. I know what they're at. I know where things are. When I'm doing it on the true form, I'm just slower on the true form. I'm actually slower. I know that, but it's kind of always been that way. So I feel like I am moving backwards, but I don't know if that's the reality of the situation. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks here. That's pretty much my only update. And then this was an update for me. If you're watching YouTube, my daughter made that for me right there. Those are her hands. And it says I'm the best dad in the world. So I apologize to everybody on the podcast who is a dad, and also, which is one of you, right? And then everyone else listening who is not a better dad than me, since I just officially took best dad in the world title. So it is what it is, but that's an official update for me. So
that's cute. She made that in preschool.
Yeah.
I'm guessing those are your hands.
Let's compare.
They're really far away.
Those are definitely her hands.
Yeah, I was
not a dumb question. It's really far away. Okay. Hey, study.
He kind of already said they were her hands, so it was kind of a dumb question.
She made it.
I love the Kyle and Joe angle that every podcast.
Look,
and
when we share a cubicle,
has.
It's going to be a war.
Yeah. Yeah. Look out.
Oh, speaking
wait.
of,
HQ.
The HQ, I have the official construction meeting today, shortly after this podcast. All of the planning stuff is done. we're supposed to be getting booted over to the construction manager. And so I think we should actually be breaking ground on like foundation, all that stuff within the next couple of weeks. So I'm pretty excited.
Very nice.
I want like a massive window in my office for all the natural light.
Okay. Let's just keep our demands.
It'll have a window and French doors.
Ooh, getting fancy.
A lot of natural light. Yeah.
Is it going to have a bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
I think that was up in the air for a while, wasn't it?
It was.
There definitely will be a bathroom.
Okay.
We figured that problem out.
Okay, cool.
I'm excited for everybody to see it because it was like a shed plant. That was the plan when it started, and now it's not. It's a miniature house in the backyard. So
that's awesome.
Cool.
All right. So the study I mentioned, the title is Self-Compassion, Social Rank, and Psychological Distress in Athletes of Varying Competitive Levels. So it's a study, it's a survey. I don't know what you want to call it. I'll probably end up calling it a study a bunch, but it really was more of a survey of 253 respondents, including 59 non-athletes, 115 recreational athletes, and 79 competitive athletes. The researchers analyzed their responses to see if views on self-compassion differentiated the groups and were related to perceived social rank and psychological distress. So the main hypothesis because that was my thing. I was like, why would you do this? I get the study or the survey, but I was really trying to like figure it out. And so the authors hypothesized that competitive athletes would display less self-compassion and higher fears of self-compassion than recreational athletes and non-athletes. Further, they hypothesized that social rank and self-compassion would be related to psychological distress. Specifically, they predicted lower self-compassion, higher fears of self-compassion, and lower views of personal social rank would be positively associated with psychological distress. So really, they just thought that more advanced athletes would be more hardcore mentally, less tolerant in their mental views of themselves. And so I'll jump straight to my kind of takeaway, and then we can talk a lot more about this because there are some things we can pull out. But my takeaway for the Garage Gym Athlete was, don't be an asshole to yourself. That's it. That was it. That was what I wrote down.
Moving on to the topic.
I read a bunch of read through this multiple times to see if I could we could go deeper, and we will. We could talk about some of these other things. I have a lot more notes on it too, but that was my ultimate takeaway. Don't be an asshole to yourself in your brain. So what else do you guys have?
You timed that perfectly for Ashley's coffee. We almost got a spit take there. That was really cool.
I was getting excited when it was coming. I was like, oh, she has no idea what I'm about to say. It's going to be
man.
good.
Here we go. Yep.
So I just want to leave with a question because I never really, I guess, heard of self-compassion before. I even asked Liz about it. Like, compassion's one thing, but I'm just wondering if somebody feels confident defining it for everyone that might not be familiar. Is anybody?
I'm familiar with self-compassion. I think it's the term people you might hear often is give yourself some grace. Have you heard someone say that before? Yeah.
Say it all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, this comes up quite a bit when you're talking about self-talk. I can't remember which podcast we had these kind of conversations, and I talked about how I am a little bit meaner to myself than I am to others and everything else. And some people that doesn't work. Some people, like if they get into this negative loop inside their brain where they are doing that, beating themselves up about not being perfect or not getting their workout done or missing something on their diet, they can kind of spiral out of control. And so it's being a little bit more compassionate with yourself about not being perfect, I think is the big takeaway. So
yeah. So as I was going through, I kept thinking for some reason I kept thinking that it was like self-esteem, like self-compassion, self-esteem. It was kind of the same thing, but the more I read, and I even had to Google it. I realized it's kind of not the same thing. But then, when they're talking about the athletes and how their self-compassion and their own ranking, it's the social ranking. And I think it comes down to confidence versus understanding. Like athletes can be super confident if they're successful. And if when you're working out and really into fitness, you could be super confident. But then if things go wrong, that doesn't mean you have very much understanding of your situation. I think that's where the self-compassion would differ, is how I perceived it. And that's just being able to be more rational and understanding about when things happen with training and with just achieving your goals and such, because bad things will happen. Usually there's always going to be a bump in the road or something like that. And it's just the understanding of, okay, I know this is, bound to happen. It's rolling with the punches and being able to turn something bad into a positive. And I guess it's just a little bit of a teaser for next week. There's a book review we're doing this will come up, I know for sure. But that's one thing that was going through my mind as I was reading through this.
So the study actually kind of defined it. Said compassion can be defined by the sensitivity to suffering in self and others, with a commitment to try to alleviate and prevent it. So it's kind of like understanding that there's something wrong and wanting to help fix it, whether fix something that's already happening or kind of prevent it from happening. So like if you're giving compassion to someone else, like you see that they're having a hard time, or you see that they could potentially have a hard time, and either feeling this need to help them through it or feeling this need to help them avoid it. So I would say self-compassion would be kind of understanding you see yourself going towards a negative area, or you're progressing towards something negative that's going to be harmful to you, and needing to step in the way of that for yourself. Does that make sense? So like not letting yourself go to that negative place. And so for me, that's kind of the big takeaway of this thing, is just having a more positive mindset overall. And that's kind of what the study revealed, was that a more positive mindset overall kind of leads to better performance. It leads to a better, more general outlook on life. And just having a positive mindset has a lot of other physiological benefits as well. And so it's just kind of cutting yourself some slack, but also not too much slack. Because if you cut yourself too much slack, then you don't make any progress. And it's kind of what we talk about here of having to kill that comfort, right? You need to kill that comfort, but there needs to be, it's not just putting rocks in your shoes and running around, right? It's killing comfort with a specific goal in mind and progressing yourself to a specific goal. But the point of self-compassion is to understand that being too hard on yourself is actually going to be detrimental to your goals. And so kind of tempering that a little bit to where you can actually be productive.
So for this study or review, basically I kind of took it and made it a little more like more on the application side, just meaning compassion and just kind of having that self-awareness. I said it makes me appreciate my why. I feel like you can give yourself more compassion, more grace if you know like why you are in the gym doing what you're doing every single day. And there's a reason why I think we ask our athletes that question, so when you do potentially get into a point of like, man, this is not going the way that I want it to go, that you can focus on that why and try to like focus on the progress that is made. And then that was another point that I made, that perception is everything. Don't focus on, I'm not hitting X, Y, and Z, or I'm not getting to whatever place that it is. Look back. I think Jerred kind of talked about this a couple podcasts back, but just like look at the work that you've done and the progression that you've done and give yourself that compassion. And don't get so fixated on just like, oh, I need to, have a 500-pound back squat, whatever it is. Like look at what's going on. I think another cool thing was they also talked about genders. And ladies, there was no difference between men compassion and women compassion. And I feel like there's a misconception of men are judging us if, you go to the gym or you go to the bro room. And I feel like nobody actually cares, they are there for hopefully themselves. But females, if, there's a dude that is trying to help you, like just know that he's trying to help. He's not trying to fix you, so to speak, who knows? So just, I don't know, just be more mindful of that. And then if you are a coach or if you've ever coached anybody, I said compassion makes you more relatable. And I feel like people will understand you if you're more relatable, and they're more susceptible to your coaching if you have that compassion towards others and not just yourself. But yeah, those were my takeaways.
So not just that, not just between genders, but also something that stuck out to me was a person's eliteness, their athletic eliteness seemed to have no bearing on their levels of self-compassion or their fear of compassion. So it was like that it kind of busted that myth of, the eliteness of an athlete. The more elite you get, the less compassionate you are. It really is just kind of, somebody's either a compassionate person or they're not. They're either self-compassionate or they're not. But the good thing is, and the study kind of highlighted this as well, you can train yourself to be more self-compassionate. You can train yourself to be more compassionate to others as well. Like there are interventions, there's training methods that you can go through to become not just more self-compassionate, but also towards other people. So some people are more inclined to it naturally, but even those that are not can actually train themselves to train their mindset. And that's kind of something that we talk about a lot, is mindset and how your mindset is trainable. And some people don't think that it is. Either either you have the right mindset or you don't. And that's just false. That's just straight up false. Like your mindset can change over time and you can train it. And so for this as well, like if you're not naturally somebody who cuts yourself a lot of slack or cuts other people slack or something like that, you can actually change that. Or if you're someone who cuts yourself too much slack or cuts other people too much slack, you can actually change that. And so all of this is adaptable and trainable as well.
Yeah, I think all these things are trainable. I think Joe, as the person who's worked here the longest, maybe one day he can give you what it was like working with me at the very start to now. I would say it's probably a little bit different, just because I know in the military, I was not a kind person. Like if people didn't do what they were supposed to do, and Joe, you're a really good employee. I'm just giving you a hard time because you've been around the longest. But I would say, yeah, those things are trainable. Because I also know, I'm aware of when I'm not, if I was being an asshole, and I've tried to fix those things over the years. So I think that you can. So if you can do it with other people, I think you can do it with yourself. And I think doing it with yourself is probably the hardest thing to do. I just had a conversation. So it won't be published for a couple of weeks. It'll in February somewhere. Asher Gifford, he's been around for a long time in the community, and he's been on the podcast a long time ago. Is back when we were doing seasons, but his will publish soon. And we talk a lot about this because he had come off doing, got the Killing Comfort patch, which means he was incredibly consistent. It was doing awesome. And then he's like playing hide and go seek with this. I don't want to like ruin the whole podcast, but anyway, he fell out of a tree playing hide and go seek with his kids and hurt his back. And then he was being really hard on himself initially, because he was no longer getting those green dots. He wasn't able to stick to the training, right? And those things, they are hard when you go from like one thing to another. But he changed his mentality, ended up seeing a ton of progress. So cliffhanger, I won't tell you about what all he did and how he fixed himself and all these other things. You can listen to that podcast to dive into it. But it's just those things. I think we are very hard on ourselves, but if someone else isn't getting a green dot and we were to be coaching them, we would be very compassionate about that, right? We'd be like, it's okay. Just focus on what you can do, get as much as you can done. But then we don't do that with ourselves sometimes. Right. And I think that's where it becomes an issue. Joe has no comments from my earlier statements. It is fine.
I wasn't know where to go. I think it's just.
I still want to be employed here.
Yeah. What is this leading up to? Like getting canned on air? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with any of that. Be compassionate with yourself. We do talk about it all the time. Know when you are getting into psychological distress that could be self-imposed, and try and change that conversation. That's a big point I have in the Killing Comfort book is you talk to yourself more in a day than you do to anyone else, even if you're a talker. And so you need to change that conversation as much as you can to positive conversation. This is a big thing I work on with my kids all the time. If they ever say anything negative about themselves out loud, I'm going to be all over them, and I'll be like, what I normally say to them, I was like, if you keep saying that about yourself, you're eventually going to believe it and it's going to be true. So you can change that conversation right now and be a better person, or you can keep telling yourself lies. And these are the conversations I have with my children. So they're going to be either really messed up when they get older or awesome. We'll see what happens at the end of all this. But I think self-talk is really, really important.
Man, at least it's not like when parents said, if you keep making that face, it's going to get stuck that way. You need to get on that level. Like, hey, if you keep saying that, you're going to turn into a gremlin.
Yeah, that's basically what I tell them. And but I believe it too. I'm like, if you keep saying you're not good at this, or you can't do that, or whatever, that is what will be true if that's what you keep saying. So
follow me for more parenting tips.
Yeah. On my parenting podcast.
You're a good daddy-o. All right. Topic.
How do you motivate others? You don't. Now let's go to the workout.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding. I have a lot to unpack here.
Or stick.
So who wants to go first on how do you motivate others? I'm sure we all have a parent, a brother, a sister, a friend, a spouse, whatever, that we wish would do just for the sake of their health. We very rarely are we like, man, I really wish your mile time was faster. Like, damn. But rarely. And there's like 3 people in my whole life who I've ever felt that way about. Anyway, yeah, you're not pushing people in these directions for their performance, right? You're doing it for their health. So it's generally a very emotional place that we come from on these things, and they still don't do it. So what do we do? How do you motivate people to maybe take a plunge, get a little bit better?
I said this isn't always easy. I want to be positive in this light, but at the same time, sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that you want. Like, people will see your results, your enthusiasm. Sometimes they want to jump in, and then when they realize the hard work that has to actually be put in, that's when they're like, okay, peace, I'm out. This is just coming from not just family, but friends and training. I used to help coach some Air Force ladies back in England, and that's what I saw time and time again. I would get people and they're so motivated when they get in, and then they see like the actual work that we're putting in, and they're like, no, give me the easy button. I want to, fix it that way. But in order to motivate, I said, you have to meet others where they are. So don't expect to, like, you have to not put high expectations. You have to come down to them. And I feel like that is going to be a better setup for you as well as for them. But the people you love the most is sometimes who you want to change for better. And I think if they don't come to that conclusion on their own, they're not going to do it themselves. They have to, I don't know, kind of, you live the walk, you live the talk, and hopefully that they come and see it and then want to change. I know Jerred's dad has done a huge thing. My dad has reached out to me recently, and that is, a praise in itself. So be patient with that and be encouraging. And if they ask questions, answer them. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into too much of a tangent if I keep talking. So I'm going to let you boys go.
So being in health and fitness, it's like it's almost like sometimes you're expected by people that and close to, or family that or that know what you do, that you're expected to guide them. But at the same time, I know a lot of us feel that like we don't want to be those people that are just telling you what to do and how do you live your life and being that invasive, and because you just look like a know-it-all or just like really annoying. Nobody wants to hang out with you. But either way, it's just and then you also, and then like when you're dealing with that is having to put it in a context of somebody that will actually take action to it. I can't take what I do and say, hey, you're not doing anything, so guess what? You should start doing all of this zone 2 and counting your macros and doing all this, that, and the other, because they're not going to do anything of it. Right. And then like with a lot of things in the fitness industry and social media and whatnot, people have these, marketing wise, they have these expectations of all of this is going to happen fast and happen intensely, and your results are going to be this amazing and all this stuff. So kind of when I talk to people that like either I'm really close to or family and stuff, is you kind of have to lower expectations while raising their understanding. You kind of have to teach them a little bit about how they're going to get there and when they're going to get there, but it's not going to be soon, and it's not going to be fast, and it's not going to be easy. And sometimes they don't want to hear that. So it's the painting that in the best light. So it's almost like you have to give them a little bit of guidance and a little bit of like, hey, yeah, once you do this for a while and do this, then you'll get there. But you shouldn't expect this to happen for, X amount of time. So, and it might not seem like the best advice, but it's kind of the best that's going to happen for the longer time. And for an example for this is my dad's always been like on and off with nutrition. He knows paleo. He's done like really extreme diets before, and he's lost a ton of weight, and then he's gotten hurt, and he's put on a ton of weight and gone back and forth. He did CrossFit for a while, but he got hurt, and it wasn't necessarily CrossFit's fault. It was just, doing CrossFit in your 50s after working on your feet for 20, 30 years, wear and tear. But recently he's gotten his diet on point and started to work out, and he's been going to the gym. Like he says, okay, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm doing circuits and I'm working with the trainer, and I'm going to tell my trainer that I want to do some Tabatas and some other high intensity stuff because that's what I liked about CrossFit. And I told him, Dad, no, you can't do that. Let's just work on this first. Let's do this. Have your trainer tell you do this, and then maybe add this a little bit now. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll see how you feel and see how it goes. And he was actually really receptive with it because he knows I kind of know what I'm talking about. And I had a talk with him about, why high intensity isn't the way he should be going right now. And I didn't tell him like everything that he needed to do for his programming. I just gave him a little nugget of, you should do this because of, and not this because of this, and then just do that, work on that now. So giving a little bit of a little bit of nugget for now for a couple of weeks, then seeing where they go, and then add a little bit more and work with them that way. And I think so far it's been really going really, really well for him, and he's been loving it. And I think he's still losing a bunch of weight, and it's helping him eat better. But that's kind of how I've gone about helping people out, is just giving them a little bit to start with and tempering their expectations, but also giving them a little bit of hope too.
So something I've had to realize with all of this is, and it's exactly what we've been talking about this whole time, it's all about mindset. And I've had to come to terms with the mindset that the people around me that I would like to make changes, the mindset that they have is the mindset that I used to have, is the mindset that I was raised with, right? And in order for me to make the changes that I made, it took a huge, monumental like mindset shift. And so the people in my family and the mindset that I had towards health and fitness, and especially like nutrition, it kind of reminds me of this Parks and Rec episode where Leslie Knope is fighting a new Paunch burger being built in Pawnee. And there's this community meeting, right? This community meeting of people coming in and saying, whether they think they should do this with, the land or build the Paunch burger there. And people are like standing up and saying, you restricted my freedoms by not building this new Paunch burger, right? And their freedoms to go and eat whatever they want, right? And have it closer to their house, instead of it being 20 minutes away, it's only 5 minutes away, and you restricted my freedom for that. It's a really funny scene. You should go look it up. But it made me think it reminded me of the mindset that I used to have of, for me to be healthy, for me to eat healthy, for me to train all the time, it restricted my freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. And I didn't want to eat healthy. I wanted to eat whatever I wanted to eat. I didn't want to exercise because it was hard and I wasn't good at it. And so there was no point in me doing it, right? And so it took a huge monumental shift for me in my mindset to realize, actually, by living however I want and not making those hard decisions, that's restricting my freedom, because I'm not able to do certain things because of my health, because of my poor health, right? And so that's the monumental mindset shift that I had to have. But I realized that other people around me are still in that other mindset. And I realized what it took for me to get out of that mindset. And I can imagine somebody that's been in it 20 or 30 years longer than I have, people who are older than me in my family, how much more it would take for them to conquer that mindset. And so for me, it's just understanding that the mindset that you have to have is such a monumental shift for some people. And some people just won't make it. Some people just won't do it. Like they know that changes need to be made, but they can't get past those mental barriers. I joined Garage Gym Athlete in March of 2017. Hannah joined Garage Gym Athlete in September of 2019, 2.5 years later, right? So it took 2.5 years for my wife to see the changes that I made and come to her own realization, like what Ashley was talking about. People need to come to their own conclusions and their own realizations. It took 2.5 years for her to see the changes that I made, the habits that I formed, and the progress that I made, for her to come to her own realization, hey, I want to do this too. And that's my wife, you know. I'm closer to her than anybody. I love her more than anybody. And she's the one person that I want to make changes more than anybody else in my life. And it took 2.5 years for her. You know what I mean? But she's also around me every single day. For those 2.5 years, she's around me. So not only did it take her that long, but she was around me every day. Those people that you're not around every day and don't see those daily changes that are happening to you every single day, they don't see it every day. How much longer is it going to take for them? You know what I mean? So to me, it's kind of like cutting yourself some slack as well, kind of going back to the self-compassion thing, because I know I feel guilty for having made these changes and having the knowledge that I have now and coaching other people to make these changes, but I can't help my family. I can't help the people that mean the most to me. And so I kind of get down on myself for that, but I have to realize that it's like a lot of it is on them. And there's only so much that I can do, and I have to cut myself some slack with that as well. And it really is just going to come down to whether they decide to make those choices or not. So I don't know if any of that was helpful at all, because basically what I'm saying is I've had very, very little success in motivating other people to make changes. But to me, it just takes time and it takes a mindset shift. And the only time that someone's actually going to make those changes is when they decide that mindset needs to change and they start actually doing it.
It's good stuff. I do like the mindset piece. That's how I attack it with a lot of people these days. Even in coaching, I try and make sure people realize that we're going towards optimal, that we're not, you know, Kyle, I had this conversation with you when I coached you, is about cheat meals, right? Like I try to make sure everyone understands that a cheeseburger and French fries, if not on your diet, is not a cheat meal. That is only hindering you. It's slowing you down. It's making your brain foggier. Like it's worse. And so eating kale, that is actually cheating. That's giving you an advantage over the opponent, over your peers, over everyone else. Like that cheating is the good diet. And it's once you can shift people's mindset around these, like, oh, we're trying to be optimal. We're trying to gain advantages in life. It's not all about like just trying to lose some weight. I think the mind shift thing is huge. But I ended up with 3 big takeaways. I'll go over them fairly fast. After I sat down with my thoughts on this one. The first one is lead by example. I think that you have to as much as you can, but I also think that this one backfires. I think you always should lead by example, but it also backfires because after a certain amount of time, you get put on a pedestal. And then it's just like, you're this different human that they are not, and they could never do what you do. And so leading by example doesn't always work. You know, they will, instead of being like, it works better with your peers. Like if your peers feel that they are almost, let's just say, evenly matched with you in being a human being, it might work, but it's not going to work with those who just think that, like, okay, in that area of your life, you're way better than me. And like, I'll never be that like that. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't lead by example, but this first one, just know that it's not the only way, because it can backfire quite easily. I've seen that happen. With a lot of people in my life, they just think, oh, you're different and you run a fitness company. And like, it's kind of true. I don't have like a comeback for that. I'm like, yeah, my life is basically health and fitness. I don't know. I maybe start a fitness company and you'll get fitter. I don't know. So yeah, I don't have much of a comeback for that one. My second one is start painfully small. Now we're getting a little bit more tactical. You need to focus on behavior with people. I do this in coaching and not results. And everyone, I would say amateur coaches do this. And I would say most people looking for a result do this, and they don't realize it's not where they should start. As a coach, you should not worry. And I'm talking about, you're getting someone who's coming from basically doing nothing. Never should your concern be whatever the hell they told you their goal was. Ever. If they're like, I want to lose 15 pounds, I don't give a shit. I care about you changing your behavior so we can make that a possibility in the future. Because if you don't change your behavior, you're not going to be able to achieve anything that you're talking about or telling me you want. So it's not like I'm actually being a jerk and I don't care about your goals. I'll write those down. I'll note them. But if I see that we have some massive behavioral mindset stuff, that's the only thing that we can tackle. And so this is what you have to do with those around you. And that could be taking the approach of letting them know about trying to be more optimal, or just focusing on getting in one workout a week as opposed to 5. You know, it's small behavioral changes is the only thing you need to focus on. After you change that behavior, then you can start talking about let's lose some weight and all these other things. Help them find a why, help them find out. Ashley mentioned this in the podcast already, having a big why for them, maybe lead them down that path, help them find a why they would need to do it in the first place. And again, if their answer is lose 15 pounds, not good enough. They need something intrinsic, not an extrinsic motivator. Maybe share a little bit that you are not perfect. I think that's a big one. Like, there have been multiple days, let's say in the last week, where I don't want to go work out. I'm like, no, I got a lot to do. I'd rather just do this because I enjoy my work. You know what I mean? I'd rather just do this than go train. But I know if I don't train, you know, that's a slippery slope. So I go do it anyway, but I had the mental conversation of not doing it. And I work out a lot, right? And I still have those conversations with myself. So just know that no one gets it perfect. You're always going to struggle with that. Help them find something that they enjoy. There's a lot of research on that too. If you find an activity you enjoy as opposed to what you should do is a big one. And then get them to teach you or others, I think is a really big one. And this is kind of the communicate piece from the Killing Comfort book, is after they learn something, have them teach it to you. They will own it more and they will understand it more, or have them teach something else. And then there's also a lot of studies done on this by Angela Duckworth, teaching things to people and how it increases your own motivation and your ability to stick to things. And then a big thing that we do at Garage Gym Athlete, get them to focus on what they can do and not what they are. So that is why we focus on mile times, back squats, all these other things. It's not because we want you to be some performance athlete who competes at the Olympics. It's because we know if we can get you to run a faster mile and squat more weight, you're going to lose weight. You're going to look better naked. All the things that you think that you want are going to come, but it's a lot easier than just saying, you know, how much do you weigh? It being the only metric that we ever track. How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? Like, who cares? Like, go try and run faster and then see if you weigh different after you actually do run faster. And you probably will. And then my last one is just never give up. I think sometimes we write people off. We're like, you know what? I've tried enough, so I'm done with that. Don't ever do that, especially with someone you care about. If it's a friend who's kind of a jerk and you're like, ah, whatever. But like my parents, like my mom, she goes in and out of, she's probably the worst at sticking to things, you know, but I look at it as these small victories. Like, okay, out of 52 weeks last year, I got her to do something health and fitness related for 6 of those weeks. So this year I'm going to try to get her to do 8 weeks worth of stuff. So just never give up. Keep trying with people, and don't guilt them. Don't guilt them about it. But never give up. And that's it. That's all I got.
Last fun fact and a bit of advice. My dad, before he started this most recent workout journey thing that's been going on for about 6 straight months, he read the Killing Comfort book 4 times.
Awesome.
So just give somebody the Killing Comfort book and it'll change your life.
I'm not going to lie. That's right around when my dad kicked his stuff into gear. As I published the book, and then he was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And he's been on it ever since. So yeah, I will selfishly say, give people that book. All right. Who's got the workout?
I do. Oh, there you go.
You're good. You're good.
Ashley's got it. I did last week's.
Grog Bowl. So you're going to ride for 1.5 miles, or you can run for 1,200 meters. Then after you get off the bike or run, then strap on a vest. Okay. Don't strap on a vest prior to. I mean, you could, but don't do it. 400-meter single plate pinch carry with a 20 air squat penalty for every rest or drop every time you have to put the plate down. And then you will dive in to single kettlebell deadlifts. Competitors should be 70 for men, 53 for women. Also followed directly by a lateral box step up. On each side, you're going to go down a ladder. So you'll do 10 single kettlebell deadlifts, 10 lateral box step ups, 9, 9, 8, 8, all the way down to 1. And and after you are done with your single kettlebell deadlifts, you will then do a farmer's carry 50 meters after each deadlift. So you do 10 farmer's carry, then your lateral box step ups. I get that right? Sorry, guys. And then 400-meter single plate pinch carry again with the same 20 air squat penalty every time you have to rest or drop. Now take your vest off and then row, run, or bike the 1.5 miles. And that's it. It's for time.
That's all.
That's all there is to it.
Yep.
Such a mess of a workout.
Nothing else.
Hence Grog Bowl.
Yeah. It's appropriately named. It is a mess of stuff going on there. My tips.
Just go fast.
Well, understand it.
Yeah. Make sure you understand it before you do it. I think what Ashley said is important. I mean, I even put it in the description when I wrote this workout of like, strap on weight vest, remove vest, like put it in there so people will not accidentally do things with the vest that they shouldn't do. But I would go fairly fast on the 1.5 mile, not as fast as you can. Okay. But maybe like 80% capacity there, keeping a pace. And then
move quickly through the,
for the plate pinch carries, I just wouldn't drop it. Yeah. Just don't drop it down. And that's it. That's about all I got on that one.
So this one is a bit cattywampus, and I'm actually going to put some clarification in on at least in Team Builder. So for the plate pinch carry, I know that this actually comes up each time, and I just put it in there. The 20 air squat penalty for rest or drop. People try to scam the system and go, oh, what if I just switch hands without the drop? You can't switch hands without the drop. You have to do 20 air squats if you switch hands anyway. So just drop it. And the farmer's carry after the single kettlebell deadlift, it is a single kettlebell. And just for wording wise, it wouldn't be a farmer's carry. It would be a suitcase carry because it's only on one hand.
We do get that from time to time.
Yeah. So I'll clear that up in Team Builder. So those are the main ones for those. Really get your forearms warmed up and ready. And yeah, I mean, once you get it down, just kind of have fun if you can. But this one was this was a team project. This is what happens when you do team projects.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough air squats.
That was your one part.
It was, and it's a penalty.
I would say have some chalk handy.
Yeah.
There you go. Just to help with your grip, because grip is a big part of this one. I would also say after you pace your miles or meters, whichever one you're doing on the bike or the running, I would say move fast to that kettlebell work. If you are trying to pace the kettlebell work, it's going to eat your time up. I mean, there's just so much of it to do. Like, go fast through it. Don't try to rest through it. Just get through it as fast as you can, because it will really eat your time up if you're just trying to mosey your way through that, which that's kind of the point of moseying, is taking a lot of time. But my point is, it will sneak up on you how much time you're taking if you're not hitting it hard and trying to go quickly. So pace your run or your bike and try to really hit it hard and go fast to the kettlebell work. I will also say, if you are one of those people who takes a plate out there for the plate pinch that you can't carry for 400 meters without stopping, try the fartlek technique. Just say, hey, I know I can go this far with it, so this is how many squats I'm going to have to do. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to squat, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to squat and come back. But I like Jerred's tip better. Just don't set it down and just go with it.
All right, I'll come clean. My tip was meant to screw you over, and here's why.
You're going to fail, and you're going to have no grip.
Yeah, I guess okay.
I dragged it out of him.
When grip strength goes, it's gone. It doesn't regenerate quickly. Okay. And so the reason I want you to try and walk all 400 meters is, one, I know you can't. And two, you're going to go as far as you possibly can. You'll get like 200 meters and then you're going to set it down. You'll be like, okay, well, I just have to do one more of those. And then you'll realize, no, it's like the Iron Mile. Once you set it down, you're screwed. You're going to be dropping it every 10, 15 meters because you have now lost your grip strength. So yeah, sometimes if you haven't realized on the podcast, my tips are meant to make the workout harder, not easier for you. So, but still listen to me and just to experience it. It'll be fun.
Oh my gosh. Kyle stole mine, so I'm just going to say I need a 15-pound plate. I did this with a 10-pound plate. It was too easy. The 25-pound, I tried. I have carny hands, so it just doesn't work.
Smells like cabbage.
Smells like cabbage. And then wine pairing. Red wine, aka EDM, is Game Over by Martin Garrix, or The Right Stuff, or The Right Song by Tiesto. And then the white wine, I said Steal This Album by System of a Down.
Mixing wines.
So I was just saying, some people are red wine, some people are white. Jerred is like a rosé. You can do, okay, I won't go there.
I think Jerred's just a water.
Whiskey. Can I?
No, I think Jerred's just a water. Yeah.
Well, I was like, his would be like Eminem, or
that's what I'd want. I want to be the person who drinks whiskey, but it would affect my sleep, and I'd be less optimal. So ultimately, can't do it.
I don't know. I was trying to figure out what rap would be. So rap can be hard whiskey. There you go.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to. I'll share it after we're done recording.
Let's end this before Joe goes crazy. It's Joe's bedtime. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'll make it quick. I think everybody gave some tips. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. If you do want to sponsor the podcast, as we talked about at the beginning, which is really just an investment in yourself, go to GarageGymAthlete.com and sign up for a free trial. Like I said, we will deliver that phenomenal service and keep doing the podcast. You can listen to the podcast for free anyway, but hey, why not make yourself better? Because there's not better programming on the internet, and there's also not better community. So or coaches. There's not. You're not going to find it anywhere. And so, like, why waste your time? So, is that fair assessment?
Boom.
There you go. All right. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. And for everyone who's already a part of the community and listening right now, I really appreciate it. Appreciate each and every single one of you. And my
sponsors.
My ZZ plant is actually at my parents' house. We left it there and I have to go pick it up. So there's that update if you stuck around to the very end.
Oh my gosh.
That's it for this one. Later. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to GarageGymAthlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.